All right, and now let's proceed to our second panel discussion. So if you have any questions you want to ask the speaker, then just type away your question in our Q&A panel or feedback or chat box. So to moderate the second panel discussion is the president and principal consultant of Pineda Cybersecurity. It is an IT consulting firm that provides cybersecurity and data privacy services mostly for SMEs. He held various cybersecurity roles, both technical and managerial, in different companies such as Phoenix, Ingram Micro, the Coca-Cola Company, Silver Sky, and JG Summit Holdings Incorporated. He also teaches cybersecurity courses in a number of universities, both for undergraduate and graduate levels. Some certifications he holds include Certified Information System Security Professional, CISSP, Certified Information Security Manager, or CISM, and Certified Ethical Hacker, or CEH. He finished his Master in Information System from Asia Pacific College and BS Computer Science from De La Salle University, Manila. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome on the cyber stage, Mr. Justin Pineda. Hi, Sir Justin. How are you?
Hi, Carla. Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I think it's a very we have very insightful sessions and yeah, very interesting topics for all of the speakers, the previously speakers. Yeah.
Yeah, I really look forward to the second panel session that you will be facilitating reimagining consumer impact in the metaverse. So, Sir Justin, can you give us an overview about this before we call our panelists?
Yeah. So okay. So we mentioned about the consumers, and more people are competing than ever for attention, and we have witnessed a rise in interest in the multi-sensory marketing over the past 2 years, and modern consumers are constantly connected. So for this session, we will talk about how businesses should acknowledge that their audience exists in many realities, not only physical. Actually, we've seen this as mentioned by John in the GSIS session, that because of the pandemic, everything went to online, and the businesses have to adapt to it. So we need to acknowledge that the audiences exist in many realities, and how do we design the strategies accordingly? So that would be the centerpiece of our discussion for this panel discussion this afternoon.
Okay, Sir Justin, let me now call our panelists this afternoon. We have Mr. Daniel Kwong of Fortinet. We also have Mr. Yiftach Keshet of Silver Fort and Mr. Jonathan C. Pineda of GSIS.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Yiftach. Hi, John.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, probably we can start. We talked about Metaverse, and we've seen how it commenced with impact in the US and Canada, and we've seen various service providers have capitalized on it, and several examples were provided in the earlier sessions. Like we have online concerts, games, yoga, and others, and it has provided an alternate venue for everyone. So how should businesses consider the ramifications for consumer experience for them to remain relevant? Maybe we can start with Daniel.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so thank you. So like first of all, there's a lot of hype in metaverse. But however, like according to a research from Woodman Thompson last year, only 38% of the person that in the interview they mentioned that they know about the metaverse. But in fact, a lot of the consumer, when they say they know about what is metaverse, they are only on a very like simple layer. They don't really understand the whole concept of the metaverse. But let me give a brief overview about the metaverse first. Like in my opinion, it is a way try to bridge the physical world and the virtual world that try to like business can have an opportunity to personalize the customer experience because of the AI and also the big data technology employed in it. And another thing is because of the most of the user that try to use metaverse are the Generation Z that their young ages, and that's why a lot of the time is try to gamify the experience of the entire customer journey. And we are also seeing a lot of business trying to use it as a differentiation, especially in the FSI sector. That is surprising. Like for example, like JP Morgan. Earlier this year, I think late last year, they actually buy a land and bring a light tiger in their shop in the decentralized land. We are also seeing HSBC are actually buy a land in the sandbox environment of the metaverse. So we are seeing a lot of business like in the early stages trying to use this concept, try to differentiate themselves. But what's most important is I see that business is trying to use metaverse to transform the customer experience, where it is quite difficult to do in the Web 2.0. A way to try to maintain a human-to-human interaction in a digital world. Okay, in Web 2.0, it's quite difficult to do. We can only text or we socialize with the business when we are engaging with the customer. But in the metaverse, because of the 3D, the VR, the AR technology allow the business to have a more interactive approach, a more human-to-human approach. Like except they are better using deepfake technology. Okay, yeah. So that's my opinion on how business leveraging metaverse try to create new opportunity and business and interaction with their customer.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Ako, very yeah, that's very true, no? And other different companies have different definitions of of metaverse depending on who you ask. No? But
Yeah.
yeah, let's go to John. I think Daniel mentioned about game. It's more of the younger generations that truly appreciate or have an idea of what metaverse is. And here we are in, if we're going to transition and use it in GSIS and government, how do you foresee adapting to it? Because here, as we know, these are more on the how do you say this, senior, more on the retirees, and yeah, more of more on the adult side group.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, no, we have two types of stakeholders. One are the active members. These are the workforce, no? And then we have the pensioners, maybe 60 to 100 years old, for example. But I think looking at it, when if ever we will consider being in the metaverse, of course we will look at it like how will be the reach to our stakeholders, because up to now, like we see documentary features like from TV, right? As you know, a lot of our stakeholders are the public school teachers, and they are located sometimes in very remote provinces, and you see them like traveling, walking on unpaved roads, crossing rivers, uh, using boats or whatever. And these are the people that we want to reach in, and I'm not yet sure if they're ready for such technology, right? Of course, those in major cities, we if we put a presence on the metaverse, most probably we can engage them through there. But I think we're more concerned with those who we cannot reach right now. So at present, we're deploying our kiosks, for example, near these areas. And when I say near, it's like the objective is cutting their travel time from say 12 hours to 4 hours to reach our services. No? So there's really still a big gap in terms of infrastructure in the countryside. I'm not sure how fast we can take that to the next level, but of course that is something that we need on the metaverse, right? Yeah, I saw a chat comment. GSIS touched to the metaverse. Hopefully soon. Thank you. It's a new app. We're trying uh, to do everything there right now, and hopefully soon we can do that in the metaverse.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Yeah, and actually, it depends. There are variations wherein there is full VR. There's
Right.
also some with augmented reality. So it depends on the application. Yeah, but the concept still remains that you can be anywhere, right? So thank you for that. Um, and so let's move to societal consequences. So if you watch when Meta was released by Mark Zuckerberg, he said that you can do anything you want in the metaverse. You can choose your avatar visuals. You can go anywhere. You can even choose your gender. With this, what do you think are the societal consequences brought by the metaverse on the lives of your customers and uh, potential customers and families? Yiftach, you want to share your thoughts about it?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just deputizing for Yiftach because he unfortunately he has an emergency. So my name is Hon Kit actually. Yeah. So yes, to your question, with regards to how do we see the metaverse being developed and all that. I will speak more on what Silverford is looking at from our perspective. So there are two things that we look at, right? So for us, the metaverse is, I would say, another growth and version of the internet, right? We're going to Web 3.0 and beyond. So in this way, boundaries are not set. But there are some areas which will always underpin this sort of digital transformation. What I mean is, one of them will be identity. As you mentioned just now, right? When we come to the metaverse, we can assume whatever we want, right? If you go to a website called secondlife.com, you can put on a different face, or you can even change gender, right? You can make yourself look like Scarlett Johansson, for example, right? And assume another identity. And that's where I want to come to, right? It's about identity. It's about how do you know? Are you who you are? Yes, of course. When you come to metaverse, you can pretend to be somebody else and all that. But when it comes to sensitive areas, right, in the metaverse, right? Let's say if you want to do a banking transaction, are you really who you are? In these cases, of course, you cannot assume another identity. And if you're who you are, can you prove it every time you access a certain sensitive resource or secure resource? So that's where Silverford comes in, being an identity player. We want to help, I would say, enterprises and entities out there to make sure that this path is secure all the way. Yeah, because it all boils down to trust, right? More so in the metaverse world where things can be free form. So, trust. We always believe that trust is temporal. Every time you need to access a certain resource, then you need to establish a trust. So that's where we come from.
Thank you for that. Daniel, you want to add some more societal impacts or consequences? It was mentioned about the trust, especially when transacting with and providing your private or personal information. Are there any other societal consequences that?
I think the first thing is about the education. As I mentioned before, like not a lot of people really understand the metaverse except they wear the VR or AR glasses. Okay, but the whole thing about we mentioned about the Web3. So the whole point about the metaverse is that people are or business are operated in metaverse as a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which is up to now there's no regulation at all from any of the country. that's why it's one of the very important thing that how business, the first thing about the business is how to protect themselves first before any regulation actually come up. Okay, so that's why they have to be very careful when they are trying to join the metaverse, what sort of legal wrapper they have in order to protect their identity. And the second thing about the whole point about Web3 is that as compared to the Web2 is whenever you access a website in a Web 2.0, that when you agree to send some information to the organizer, or when you click the agree of a accept of a cookie information, you are actually providing the consent for the organizer to use your information. Okay, then the information become theirs, it's not yours. Okay, except some regulation about the GDPR that help to protect the personal information. But most of the information becomes your business. But however, in a Web3 environment, a lot of the information that we try to provide to the business or engage in the metaverse are actually owned by the end user, the individual, okay, through the blockchain technology. And everything are being supplied to the business are required to do some sort of blockchain transaction in order to complete this. So that's why I think business should be aware that about the society consequences, what sort of their legal responsibility they have under the existing regulation. Okay, not to mention about the future regulation. They need to have a understand what sort of behavior, any anti-money laundering activity, or whether they can know whether their KYC process are good enough to understand that identity or that avatar really that person, how to bridge the DeFi process on eKYC to SenFi process of the eKYC. Also, I think is very important. And that's why business should be aware that what when they join the metaverse now, what sort of existing regulation they have to comply in a very different transactional model in the Web3.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. So it's a good point because yeah, as security professionals, we want to educate the businesses that it should be security first, but for others they want profit first. It's hard. That's why
It's a contradiction.
when you look at the metaverse like that. Yeah, John, what do you think is Daniel mentioned about regulating, sort of regulating with existing laws that we have. But how do you foresee, as part of the government, do you think we can regulate metaverse, or are we going to create a different policy making body for that, or how do you look at it from a government perspective?
Right. I think this is like what I mentioned earlier. No, this is something that we will have to deal with when the time comes, or maybe sooner. It will the sooner the better. No, whether it will be the NPC or the DICT, but in one way or another, they have to be there because just like the internet, where there's no borders, so enforcement will be pretty difficult if our regulators don't get in there sooner, because it might be something like what we have right now, where we have siloed regulations and then we have cross-border agreement regulations just to make things enforceable between other countries. But of course, similar to the internet, there's no one body regulating the whole thing, right? So for us, it's something that we need, that the government needs to look at, if this is something that will be our future, so that when the time comes that it will be here on our plate, it will be easier to handle, rather than when the time comes that everybody's using it and government will try to regulate, then that will be like a grown raging bull that we're trying to control and we won't have control of it anymore. And when I say control, of course, It's not like we want to limit everything or prevent things from happening. It's more of to be able to protect our users, for example, against fraud or scams that we are having right now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, John, for the answer. Yeah, so we move on to the transition of the metaverse. So metaverse has resulted in a fast track implementation of transition. We've seen this, and I think all of you agree that yeah, nobody knows about it, but the big tech companies are investing a lot to it. So, what kind of mindset must businesses and brands should make in order to transition into the digital sphere? Um, yeah, Daniel, want to? Um,
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, when business try to enter into the metaverse, I think the first priority is that they need to understand the component of the metaverse itself. It's not just a VR glass. It's not just some sort of buy a land in one of the metaverse company. So that's why, and then the business need to understand the cybersecurity impact on the Web3 and how to secure it. And I strongly suggest that people should take a look with a blog from John Radoff. It is actually very good blog that actually generalize the entire metaverse value chain into 7 different types of technology, including the experience layer, discovery layer, creator economy layer, decentralization layer, human interface layer, and also the infrastructure. And I just count the number. Roughly, the entire metaverse will incorporate around 20 different technology on it. Okay, and each of them are highly integrated with each other in order to provide a good experience for the customer. That's why each of these tools or connectivity or infrastructure, GPU, device, or data center, and even blockchain, the crypto transaction itself, customers should have a good holistic visibility. When we are in cybersecurity, we always talk about visibility. We should have a good visibility on the entire different technology, different layer are being employed in metaverse, so that they can have a better protection on it. But it kind of very complicated. But I would strongly suggest business or business to first to look at what sort of API are being used within the metaverse, because all this type of technology are the entire Web3 is built based on code, and all these code are communicate between each other, leveraging the API all the way down to the infrastructure. Okay, so that's why customer or business should be aware, should take a good look about the API, smart contract, calling what sort of API within the metaverse to provide a good protection from a technology viewpoint. The other part is about the legal aspect I just talked about, that the customer should also take a look what are the legal regulation currently available when you are entering into the metaverse, and then you need to better protect yourself.
yeah. Okay. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the prerequisites that you mentioned, there's so many: the infrastructure, everything. You have to do your due diligence. Hon, what do you think metaverse will stay for long? A lot of skeptics think that this is just a fad. Like it will be a hit in 1 to 2 years, and then it will go down. How do you look at it?
Okay. Personally, for me, I don't think it's a fad. I think it would grow. I mean, a lot of people thought the e-commerce was a fad as well, right? 20 years ago, if those of you who are old enough, I certainly am. Yeah, and it took off in leaps and bounds, right? Of course, with any new technology or with something which is game changing, I mean, I consider metaverse to be game changing if it all pans out to be what it is. it's going to have hiccups, right? It's going to have setbacks, right? There'll be new players, and most of these new players will be gone, and there'll be a few who are left, and then these will be the ones who power the growth. So just to share a couple of points on this. One of the things that convinced me on this is I was watching a video which was hosted by Jensen Kwong, right? For those who know, Jensen Kwong is the CEO and founder of NVIDIA, right? So this is one of the biggest tech companies in the world. And he was showing a future snapshot of what the Metaverse could be like in terms of sharing ideas, right? So what they do is that they create a whole virtual environment with 3D interaction, right? So they wear gloves and touch things like that it's almost like sci-fi, right? You can touch and move things around, right? Just like you watch those sci-fi movies. And this is how they intend to develop their next generation of chips, motherboards, new technology. And this is cross-shared around the world with all their different facilities held around the world. Yeah, so so in a way, there's a lot of benefits of that, right? You save time, there's some effort as well, you're able to share things in real time and all that, yeah. But of course, we being in a cybersecurity environment like now and in this forum, that always is on the back of our mind. So the way I see it, it's twofold. So one aspect is certain industries will adopt the metaverse journey faster than others, right? So high-tech manufacturing, like people like NVIDIA or AMD would definitely be one of those. There will be others who adopt it slowly or in pieces. So like my colleague Yiftach mentioned just now, there will never be 100% transition to something new, completely new. There will always be chunks here and chunks there. So it's how you manage the journey, right? Even if your journey is to intend to move 100%, there will always be some legacy systems or some other old ways of doing things that you cannot transit, right? So if you look for, let's say, service providers like telcos or banks, right, or government agencies, they will not, I doubt they will be able to transit 100% to a metaverse. So the key is how we, as the technology partners in the environment, help them to manage this. Yeah. So that's my second point.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Han. How about John? Do you have any thoughts about the transition of the or the mindset of the businesses and brands to the metaverse?
Yeah, I think by the time we will do this, I'm sure we would have done risk assessment and do it slowly, make calculated risks if ever we will be going there or not. Even with our present platform, that's the strategy that we did. Uh, while a lot of companies have had mobile apps released, say 5 years ago, ours was just, say, is still like a newborn, less than a year. But we just had to make sure that it was something that was done well and secure. And yun nga, one thing that will be a motivator as well is the adoption, because right now I think we're looking at around, out of our 3 million plus stakeholders, we only have about 10 to 15% who have actually downloaded the app, uh, which is good for us because we're able to deliver the service and not really choking up the systems, right? So we're able to address the needs of this people that we're servicing. But yeah, in the future, I think that's how it will be. We will be doing a study on it, of course, and make the appropriate decisions based on the assessments.
Thank you. And for our last question, I think this is for primarily for Daniel and Han. Do you think the current security technologies that we have are ready for the metaverse? What do you think are the challenges that security technology should answer? And do you think the current products that you have can be applied or can be
Yeah.
used for the metaverse?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned about, like, metaverse are all communicated. The code are actually all communicated between leveraging the API. That's why API protection is very important, especially leveraging AI, how to detect the anomaly in API communication. Like we see a lot of incident recently on the API, no matter whether they are using Metaverse or not. But I think there's another question in the chat box asking about a shopping Metaverse. Because I present about the NDR AI technology as a virtual assistant and how they can help a ordinary consumer. But I want to address this question on the same page or within here, because like the entire Metaverse, like although it use a lot of different type of technology, but basically they are all built based on a code, okay, computer code or programming code. So that's why that when people are operating those code, they will be transited into network traffic. Okay, so the network traffic itself that can be leveraging a lot of current technology such as NDR, intrusion protection, in order to do different type of protection. And that's why I want to emphasize that is that currently we have a lot of different type of technology in cybersecurity, monitoring or provides a protection in application and also network. And a lot of the time it can actually use it in the Metaverse era, because basically everything in Metaverse are running on code. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Daniel. Actually, even the attack surface and the threat landscape may be different, although it will flow to the network, right? There will still be code. Han, you want to add? Probably
Yes.
focusing on IAM or
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I think for us, regardless of what sort of digital transformation is moving along, and with Metaverse as well, you always need, as I mentioned earlier, you always need an identity. And not just an identity, when this identity, assume or otherwise, is accessing resources, you need to verify and authenticate, right? So that doesn't go away. And because the concept of zero trust in security is so important now and the future, the Metaverse will be no exception. We will still need to apply zero trust there. So how Silverfort helps is that, just to make a quick statement, we are not an IAM provider like other solutions like Microsoft or Ping or this like. What we do is that we analyze and we look at all the different authentication traffic, whether it's legacy or cloud or Metaverse, and we stitch them together and make I would say, analytical approach. You say, based on this authentication and based on the user behavior of this guy in the Metaverse, is he malicious or is he not? Is he a high risk or is he a benign identity? And then, you take appropriate action from there, right? Whether it's you trigger MFA, which my colleague Yiftach talked about, right? Or some other mechanism, like such as outright blocking. So that does not go away, right? So along the lines of keeping to the zero trust journey, which of course is still critical, whether we are moving to the Metaverse slowly or quickly. This will still keep identity as a critical pillar and component of cybersecurity, right, within the Metaverse. Yeah, so that's what I need. That's all I have to say.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Han, for the the answer. I think we ran out of time. We finished exactly at 1:35. So thank you so much for the panelists, Daniel, John, and Han, for sharing your insights about it's really futuristic. We're still moving to uncharted waters, and but the insights are very good. We can see the potential of Metaverse and what are the pros and cons of it, and obviously the security issues around it. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing your expertise in today's panel discussion.